What's up, freaks? This is just me, and today we're taking a look at the quads in the side poses. We're using the side chest pose and also the side triceps pose to determine the best quads from the side. We're only discussing the quads, not the whole pose though, so it doesn't really matter. We're gonna go through the entries in increasing order, with the best being at the end of the video. But of course, this list is never gonna be completely objective, but I'm gonna try to be fair somewhat. Now, come on, let's start, right? We have a great set from the 90s. This is Nasser Al Somebody. He has impressive sweeps that stack up really good size-wise when compared with Nasser's upper body. For being a mass monster, I would say he has an aesthetic set of quads in the side chest and triceps poses. Do you think so? Next in line is Chris Cormier. He's the real deal from the 90s. He has a little definition in the quads from the side, and also size-wise looks quite insane, stacking up well to the rest of the physique as well. So Chris Cormier is awesome. He has great quad development from the side. Today's bodybuilder with impressive quads by the name of Iain Valliere. He shows insane sweeps in the side poses in comparison with other body parts. His quads look pretty huge, and Iain has a bit of vascularity and graininess as well. His quads are always very dry. This is a 2000s bodybuilder, Dennis Wolfe. He's got a very good X-frame from the front and rear thanks to his humongous sweeps, and it shows in the side poses as well. He has a nice groove there. That's some pretty good detail, and of course very good size to the quads of Dennis Wolfe, even though he also has world-class hamstrings. This is nowadays competitor Steve Kuklow. He has a very prominent groove in the quad when seen from the side, which really makes it stand out in the photos. The reason why Steve doesn't land higher is the lack of quad sweeps, which would make the legs look much thicker and bigger. I know he's sitting down quite low, which is probably not the most favorable for the quads in my reckoning, but still there is an area for improvement as I see it, because the quads don't look that big from these angles we're seeing. But nevertheless, a big thanks to Steve for developing these awesome quads, because they're really good. Next is the blonde myth, Lee Priest, the 90s giant killer. He has good hamstrings, but also the quadriceps look great. They have pretty nice sweep from the side, so good sized quads, and also some detail he's got, so that's why I include Lee Priest. This is the gentle giant Gunter Schlierkamp, who is from the 2000s. As you can see, he's a tall bodybuilder, so he's got nice long quad muscles, if that makes sense, and they look even longer because of the way he is displayed standing up completely straight. And I think it does favor his quads, because seen from this angle they really draw your eye. The size is not as impressive as the upper body, but the light bouncing off is showing a tiny bit of detail through the quads, and really, to be honest, I just like the shape of them, I guess. I don't know about you, but this just looks very good to me. Very aesthetic. Okay, so let's move on. Now, this is a hungry lion from this era we live in right now, Handrul Brada. He probably isn't as impressive in terms of having sweeping round quads, but he cannot be denied. Even with having these hanging hamstrings, the quads are still amazing. They look very thick, also a bit of separation there. These little grooves. There, you know what I mean. To me, Hunter's quads stand out a whole lot, so I'm placing him in a very respectable spot. Looks really good to me. Moving on from today's era as well, to witness the mutant Nick Walker. He has out of this world separated and grainy quads, which is not that visible from the side, but the sweep is still there, and it looks insane. Great size do Nick's quads have, and they're nicely separated from the hamstrings too. It's true that's separation between the quads and hams, so it shouldn't really count for much because it's not the quad itself though. But either way, you can see for yourself the mutant is really good in this muscle group. Now we take a bit of a trip into the 212 division for 7-time Mr. Olympia Flex Lewis, who has great details. And I feel like that's why Flex's legs from the side look so impressive and eye-catching, because the definition shines through more than the size. Sidewise, to be honest, I don't think the quads match up that impressively with the upper body, but in this side chest and side triceps poses, they definitely do draw my eye, so that's why I put Flex on this list. And we also have Father Times himself, Dexter the Blade Jackson, a one-time Mr. who also had a lower body which is surely not the biggest in the bodybuilding world, but it was always shredded with supreme details everywhere. Dexter has very nice definition to his quads, and they look very aesthetically pleasing, and they go well with Dex's good-looking physique in the side poses, so really good too. This is Mustafa Muhammad. He comes from the 2000s, and he does not showcase the same level of detail like, for example, Dexter, but he definitely has this better sweeps and overall size, which is why I decided to have him placing pretty high. The round, massive sweeps of the quads definitely demand attention, and I feel like the lower body is kind of dominating the upper body a bit. He definitely has crazy size on these thighs. This is a lesser known guy coming from the 2010s. His name is Caprice Mori, and I'm a real fan of his quads, let me tell you. In my opinion, they look very impressive and very outstanding from basically all angles. And from the side, you can really tell how huge in comparison with the rest of the body of Caprice his quad sweeps really are. He has huge quads, although not really any definition in them. That would be the only flaw. Next, we have Luke Sando, who doesn't have the biggest quads ever, but he had amazing detail in them. Look at all the grooves. Perhaps lacking a bit of sweep, but the definition, the little grooves, are so impressive they make up for it. So shout out to Luke, and rest in peace, Luke. Next is a current IFBB pro, Hassan Mustafa, who has quads so gigantic that even his crazy hamstring hang can't seem to overpower them. His quads are so big and sometimes a little bit unbelievable. Massive. And also, if you look closely, it's not just an unshapely blob of muscle that's missing all the details. He has some details, so props to Hassan, he's amazing. I think if he ever brings shredded conditioning to the bone, his quads are gonna be absolutely out of this world. Either way, this is one of the freakiest sets in the IFBB nowadays already. We have Paul DeMayo, Quadzilla, coming out of the 90s. Of course, he has to make it onto this list because he has insane size in his quadriceps. His quads are really great, even seen from the side. You can see the incredible sweeps, especially in the picture in the middle. He's awesome. Definitely Paul DeMayo has one of the best sets of the quads of all time. They were very thickly developed. Now there's also a 2000s freak, Tom Prince, and if you know anything, you probably didn't expect to see him on the best side quads list because he's so famous for his hamstring hang. And you can see that it's literally insane, hard to believe, the hanging hamstring. But if you can get your eyes to move from the hamstrings, take a look at the quad as well. It's not getting too overwhelmed here at all. The hamstring is the highlight, but the quads are actually very competitive size-wise compared to the rest of the body. And Tom Prince has also some nice details and veins, so not bad at all, surprising to me, at least. Next we have Pablo Bautista from the 2000s. In some photos, for instance on the left, really he doesn't look that impressive at all in the quad area because the quads are not sweeping, but then the other two photos look pretty good. So maybe a bit of an asterisk on that, but look in the middle. He's got very good details, a lot of grooves. I don't know if I can call these striations, but probably. Anyway, lots of defined muscle. So that justifies the inclusion, in my opinion, of Francisco Bautista. The middle picture looks unreal. Now look at Dave Palumbo from the 90s and 2000s. I believe he never actually claimed a pro card, but he's absolutely no slouch. He had great quads. You can see it here because he basically doesn't have a hamstring hang, so the quad really dominates in his side poses. Look at the size of the sweeps, also the vascularity. That's quite freaky. He's also got nice separation. So Dave Palumbo is actually really good with his quads from the side. Here we have Justin Compton, who really impressed me with his quad development. Look at the grooves and details. It draws your eye quite a lot. Once again, it has to be said that the size of the sweep is not really that unbelievable, but I feel like it doesn't even matter because of how much of a standout body part the quad is. Along with the hamstring, that is. This guy really had a great lower body, so I'm wondering where he is because he hasn't competed in a few years, which is pretty puzzling to me. Anyway, next is this gentleman. This is a record holding 8-time Mr. Olympia. Everyone knows he's from the 90s and 2000s. Ronnie the King Coleman, who wasn't even known for his quads specifically, but still they belong onto the top 10 of all time, no doubt. It's insane how impressive this guy was overall. But back to his quads, he's this high on this list mainly due to the size of these things, because although we can spot some vascularity and a bit of detail, I'm still not mind blown in terms of defined grainy muscle on Ronnie's quads. But obviously huge amounts of muscle on there, so he has to be featured. The Golden Eagle flies in from the 1980s. The shots are being hit differently, I have to mention that. Tom is just posing a bit of a modified fashion, and I can't do anything about it, obviously. His hamstring hang is really nice, but also I would say the quads are even more impressive. They're big and beefy with a groove and a nice shape to them, I find, too. The reason Tom is not higher is, I think overall, when the quad fighter is not actually really flexing this body part and focusing on it 100%, his quads lack a bit of detail. Maybe it's blasphemous, but this is how I truly see it. Let me know your opinion, because people tend to love his quads, but I think there have been better sets. Either way, this is the next entry. It's a current competitor from the 212 class by the name of Nicolas Valliere. Hopefully that's correct. He's nicknamed the Quadzilla, I believe, and that's for a reason. Even though, look at the unbelievable hamstring sweep there. This is almost Tom Prince level, but the quads are also really grainy and massive. Very, very impressive size-wise, if you ask me. I also detect some slight details too. Man, I'm impressed with nowadays Quadzilla quite a bit. This is the 90s Vince Taylor. He has nice sweeps in his quads. He looks to have good size and very good details as well. It doesn't blow your mind, but sure, this is a good set of quadriceps, make no mistake about it. It's a highlight of the poses, I would say. His quads really jump out to me. And this is Hadi Chupin, the Persian Wolf. As we all know, Hadi has great quadriceps, especially the relative size of his tree trunks is very impressive. Look from the side at the groove. Very nice, Hadi, I gotta say. Looks much more pleasing, in my opinion, from the side angle than from the front. More aesthetic for sure. So his squats flow very well from the side, in my opinion. This is 2010's competitor Lionel Bayaki, and I don't even understand these photos. I mean, from the front, Lionel's squats are so feathered, but size-wise, they look pretty proportionately developed. But here, in the side poses, his quads look absolutely ginormous to me. Maybe it's just me, but it really surprised me when I saw Lionel's side poses for some reason. I wouldn't expect it to look that awesome in terms of quad sweep. Look at the area that the whole quad is covering. That's pretty decent, right? And then very nice grooves there. These details are just money, so shout out to Lionel Bayaki. Now, that was more of an aesthetic set of quads. Now, an extremely grainy competitor from the 20s and 2010s. This is Branch Warren, and we all know that his lower body is amazing. The quads, although he's sitting down on them pretty low, look at this separation, the groove in the middle of the quads. You don't see that very often. It's pretty impressive. So despite the presentation maybe not being the best for the quads, I still have Branch fairly high on my list. Nowadays awesome competitor, the Conqueror William Bonac. He's got a great lower body, good size and decent sweep, and that separation that William Bonac brings when he comes really conditioned is awesome. And he's the man of consistency, so he mostly does bring it. The definition in his quads look very good, and it catches the beholder's eye. I hope you're seeing it too, because I'm trying to be objective. Look at his quads, they are just mind-blowing. And this is a surprisingly good-looking set of quads on Victor Martinez, a bodybuilding icon from the 2000s. He's not very famous for it, but he had good quads from the side, in my opinion. They really come to life in the side chest and triceps. Just look at that. Because from the front, they really weren't anything special. Glorious details. Look at the defined groove there. And the size, for some reason, looks pretty gigantic, especially in the pic in the middle, where the pose really flatters the quadriceps. It looks like it's dwarfing nearly everything else. So this is quite a weird entry, because as I said, Victor is not known for having great quads, but as I see it from the side, they look very, very good. And now we're moving on to the top 5 in this video. So in 5th place, this is 90s mass monster Paul the Freakenstein Delat. He has absolutely godly looking quads from the side. He also surprised me with how amazing he looks in the quad region. Look at the deep big groove there. The quad itself is also really neatly separated. The quad sweeps are just amazing as well. And take note of the sheer size. That's why it's Jurassic Paul Delat, right? Paul, in my opinion, is a bit underrated in the lower body because it was on the same level as the upper body, if not surpassing it, but this is only about the quads, which is a mad eye catcher, so I really think Paul's quads come to life in his side poses. They really thrive. This is 4th place. We have the 2018 Olympia champ, Sean Roden. Now it's absolutely no question that Flexitron has some of the best side legs of all time easily. However, I think the highlight of the pose is actually the glute because it's very detailed, more than the quad. My eyes are drawn to it quite a lot. He has decent sweeps, honestly. I think the size of the quads is an area for improvement, but not a flaw. It's fine. The reason Sean Roden places so high, because he's fourth, is that he has these amazing, beautiful lines there. The detail in his quads is very solid, so impressive. Alright, moving on to third place in this video is the Predator. Kai Green comes, of course, from the 2010s. I hope he does compete again because he was just so massive and alien-esque. Crazy. Anyway, you see Kai's legs are so thick from the side, it looks very unreal. Literally every body part here seems like it's extremely thickly developed, but the legs are so big even compared to the giant upper body. And of course, it's also thanks to the hams, but the quads are just monstrous. It has to be said he doesn't have the crazy detail of Flexitron Roden, but his sweeps are a bit better in my opinion. So that's why he overtakes Sean. But really, it's not that big of a deal. No doubt both Kai and Sean belong on this list and deserve one of the top spots. And in second place, we have a crazy detailed quadriceps. Can you see that? Can you even believe these details? It's Akeem Williams, a current bodybuilder, I believe nicknamed the Brooklyn Beast. The way the separation in the side leg is shaped is just so unique and original. I mean, if I showed these pictures to you, you could tell me right away that it's Akeem, even without seeing his upper body, right? This is kind of his trademark, having this particular shape of the lines in his quads from the side. It's like the quads are a bit too short, which in my opinion is not favorable from the front, but from the side, basically all it does is give him the wow factor he needs. So the quads are so round, almost like a ball, and it's really highlight because the hamstrings are nothing to write home about. But in the quads, Akeem just exudes power from the side, so shout out to him. It's just unbeatable. Well, or is it? I think it is. In my opinion, the 2020 Mr. Olympia, Mamdou Elsewhere, beats him. I would better call him Big Ramy, right? Because I definitely butchered that. Anyway, the separation of the grooves in Ramy's quad is just simply second to none. The one prominent groove in the middle is just so deep, and of course, huge quad development. The sweeps, as we all know, are inevitably some of the best, if not the best of all time, and it shines through from the side as well. From the picture on the left, we can see the quad display when Ramy stands straight, but now he likes to sit down very low, like you can see on the pic on the right. On the left, his quad looks a bit better in my opinion, but even Ramy's Olympia winning versions had awesome separation, muscularity, and freak factor. That's why overall Ramy's quads are so important to his physique and why I place him first in this one video. So let me know down in the comment section below if you agree with Ramy or you think Sean Roden or Akeem Williams or Kai Green or someone else that I missed can overtake him. Thanks. I hope I did a good job with this video. You can also tell me what you think about the video in the comments. I would be happy about that. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to watch some best quads videos and also like and subscribe. Enjoy the rest of your day.